This is Ability in Disability. I am Angela Ekere. Do you know that there are over 2 billion people living with disability in the world, and the majority of them live in developing countries? Going by the United Nations reports, 25.5 million people in Nigeria are living with disability, out of which 9.5 million have hearing and speech impairments. I have a guest who will enlighten us about sign language and the mode of communication. Mr. Duke Titus, you are welcome to this insightful program, Ability in Disability.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Duke Titus is an able person. It's not challenged at all, but has something to tell us today. Sir, can we know you better? Who are you and where do you work?
All right. My name is, like you rightly said, Mr. Duke Titus. At the moment, I work with Marina School for Children with Special Needs in Opana, here in Delta State. And for me, I hail from Tumo in Burutu local government area of Delta State. And my work in special education didn't start at the very beginning of my education. I actually went into special education sometimes later in my life. And that was when I had to, be with the special children in order to raise some money to take care of myself. But somewhere along the line, I fell in love with special education. And then somehow I began to get myself trained. And here we are today, especially in the area of sign language and communication with the hearing impaired. Thank you.
Wow. What motivated you to study special education for the hearing and the speech impairment?
Like I said earlier, while in school, I actually studied fine art. That was actually what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a freelance artist.
Okay.
A worldwide freelance artist. And then, in order to boost my artistic adventure, I decided also to study French language.
Okay.
I did that under Alliance Française. And I was actually got Diplôme de langue française, France. But somewhere along the line, I had to stop studying. Okay. And then I moved from where I was in Ilorin, Kwara State, and came down to Delta State through my parents.
Okay.
And then I decided to go into teaching. In order to, actually I was studying, my final applied art was under education.
All right.
So I decided to apply for teaching and to use my talent, to assist children. For the time being, that was actually what I wanted, just for the time being. And then maybe somehow I'll go back and continue with my study in final applied art.
Okay.
But somewhere along the line, I got, I loved the children. 2 incidents took place. One, during my, first 2 years in special education,
okay,
I met a child who was actually, hearing impaired. Because that's what I prefer to call them, hearing impaired. And then he will come to school. They live in the rural area.
Okay.
He will come to school with his parents, and then they will leave him in the hostel. And then when we are on holiday, they will bring him back. They will take him back home. But something happened. He didn't return on time. So we asked the parents, why didn't you bring this boy? The father said he has other children that are going to school and they are all right, they don't have any problem. But for this boy, he doesn't know what to do with him. How would this boy go to school? That he felt he was wasting his money on this boy.
Okay.
We talked, because then I was just new into special education. So we talked for long. and somewhere he stopped the child from coming to school. That actually impressed on me because I didn't like that situation.
Okay.
While I was with them, I saw they were good. At least they could do a lot of things. But this boy is being denied that opportunity. Not because he doesn't want, the father doesn't want him to go to school, but because the father was ignorant, the father didn't understand the situation.
Yes.
So that actually moved me, to stay more and see what is in it.
Okay.
And eventually we are here now.
Okay. Wow, this is ability in disability. I have Duke Titus with me. So you told us what motivated you to go into special education and how you learned special education. Wow. Mr. Duke, can you differentiate between hearing and speech impediment?
Like I told you, in recent times we prefer to use hearing impairment for those who are having hearing problems, and that's because they have degrees of impairments. There are some that are profoundly deaf. There are some that are just partially deaf.
Okay.
While there are some that are hard of hearing. So we term these people as hearing impaired.
Yes.
And like we all know, once somebody is hearing impaired, there will be a problem with the person's speech, especially for those who are born deaf, those who will not, those who have hearing problem right from birth. And we also have a situation whereby they are, like you said, for those who are speech impaired. That one is a bit different from hearing impairment, because those who are hearing impaired actually may have problem with speech, but that does not mean that they will not be able to say something.
Okay, they
will babble.
Okay,
and then if they are trained, they will see things.
Okay.
And then for those who are having speech problem, there may be problem with their tongue. They may have other conditions that will make them not be able to speak well. But that does not mean that they will not be able to talk. They will make sound. So what I'm trying to say here is that those who are hearing impaired, especially those who are profoundly deaf, will have problem with speech. While there are others that will have speech impairment based on other conditions.
Okay. Wow. Ability and disability. What is a mode of communication for this a group of disabilities?
I prefer to use the word total communication.
Okay.
And in total communication, we have the sign language.
Sign language.
And that's the one we use here in Nigeria. We use the ASL, that's American Sign Language here in Nigeria.
Okay.
Then we also have lip reading. That's where you speak and you make this person to listen to you, to look at your mouth.
Okay.
And then we have eye contact, we have body language. We also have finger spelling. All these are into total communication.
Okay.
And then right in total communication, we also have sign language. And sign language is the formal way with which we talk to those people who are hearing impaired. That's the general way. But added to sign language, the best is total communication. Because there are those that are profoundly deaf, there are those that are hard of hearing, and there are those that, so these people may need hearing aids. So you need to apply all this in order to help them to develop.
This total communication, is it specifically for those that are trained or generally for both hearing impairment and speech impairment?
It's for everybody.
Everybody.
It's everybody.
So it does not have a special people.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
But for sign language,
okay.
For what?
Okay, for sign language.
It's basically for those who are hearing impaired.
Who are hearing impaired.
Yes, sign language, okay. Because they will not understand when you speak.
Okay,
they will not hear you.
All right, like someone now that has not been trained. Someone that has hearing impairment that has not been trained. Can you understand when you are doing a sign language for him?
He may not understand.
He may not understand.
Because he has to go to school.
Has to go to school.
Learn the sign language.
Okay.
And then be able to communicate with it. Okay. Although, like we all know, people must adapt. So he will be able to pick some sign, maybe some local sign, or adapt way with which he or she will be able to communicate. But in general, there's a language that we call sign language that we use for all those who are hearing impaired.
For all those who are hearing impaired.
Yes.
Okay, both educated and not educated.
You have to go to school in order to learn sign language, except you
those that are not educated, how can you communicate with them?
That is why we are fighting that they go to school.
Go to school.
Because there was a time I met somebody who was not educated but hearing impaired, and then it was difficult for me to communicate with him because I will use the sign language I know, which is the formal way, the American sign language, and he will not understand.
Wow.
So I had to go down to the level of using the local language that we have.
Okay. Wow, this is ability and disability. That's why the program is always on air for you to be enlightened, to know what you're going to do if you have such a child at home. Ability in this ability to do. I'm talking about hearing and speech impairments. This kind of people with this challenge, can they acquire formal education? If they can, to what level?
That is a big yes. They can go to school.
They can go to school.
They can acquire even up to any level that anybody can get to in education. This book can get there.
Is that so?
It is possible.
Very possible.
It's very possible. And why I say it's possible is because I have seen this happen so many times. And that is why I always emphasize on early intervention. Very, very important. Because if you're able to catch them young and train them, you help them to develop their speech, you help them to develop the sign language, you give them all that they need, the tools they need to build themselves. Eventually, they will go to any level, because the only problem they have, the only thing that is disturbing them from acquiring or attaining what we attain is just the hearing problem. Okay. Now, if there is a communication level they can attain, if there's something that will bridge the gap, and that is sign language and other means of communication, why not they use this means and get whatever they want? It is very possible for them to become anything, get to any level, even to become professors in the field of education if they want to. All they have to need is training. Let me give an example. Right now, where I am, Modern School for Children with Special Needs, we have trained children. I have been there since 1997, and we have trained a lot of children from the primary, and we're able to get the secondary, and we have trained them up to the secondary level. And then some of them have come as far as to the university. Wow. And other places. Now, what I'm trying to say there is that one of them is back with us now as a teacher.
A teacher?
Yes. He finished as a student.
He was trained in your school. He went to school, yes.
From primary to secondary. He finished and he was able to acquire acquire his education under Oyo. This place they call
special education
in Oyo. And then for him, because he's planning to go back to get his degree.
Okay.
So he says, while I'm waiting, I need something. I'll say, okay, come and stay with us. And then he's with us right now, trying to impart what he has learned as a student back to where he got it from.
This is ability in disability. Today I have Mr. Duke Titus with me, who are discussing about those with hearing and speech impairments. Has enlightened us how he went into special education and how you can communicate with those with hearing impairments. Mr. Duke, you told us you've been there for a while in your school where you teach these people. How do you impart and teach these kind of people with this disability?
Well, like I said earlier, we use total communication, in which we have sign language as part of it. And then this sign language is something that you have to learn, something that you have to settle down and learn, because it's like learning the English language. That is how it is. Now, before when a child comes into the school, and then we discover that he's having a problem with his hearing, we do what they call an assessment. And after the assessment, we do a placement. And then after the placement, we do what is called IEP. That's what we call IEP, the Individualized Educational Plan. that one is very, very important, because this is where our children will benefit more.
Okay.
Because with this IEP, where we have an individual program for each child has a program, and inside that program, we have planned what we're going to do with this child. We'll discuss with the parents, we'll discuss with the caregivers, and we'll make sure that the child gets this thing at the shortest possible time. So then when it comes to sign language, it begins with the way English starts. It starts with the ABCD, the alphabets.
Can you demonstrate it?
It's very let me do that.
Okay.
Now this is
Start.
A.
Okay.
This is A.
Okay.
And this is B. This is C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
Wow.
And that goes to for numbers too.
Numbers.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on.
And so on. Wow.
These are the basics. Then from there we move on to other level until the child is able to pick a lot of vocabulary,
Okay.
a lot of words, and then the child is able to use these words in making sentences and in reading and others.
Okay. So in this stage now, this early stage, they come to school, they're not placed in any class, just to teach them the basics before they can resume start the school properly.
No. What I'm saying is that any intervention is talking about catching them young.
When you catch them young, like for someone that just come to them, like they place the person in the classroom, like primary 1 or primary 2.
Usually, some of them have not been to school.
Okay.
Like we made some survey, we discovered that many of them even stay at home up to the time they get to about 12, 15 years old.
More than yes.
But when they come, we do an assessment. After the assessment, we have a class for those who haven't been to school, for those who don't know the sign language, where we begin to train them on the sign language.
Until they're able to learn the sign language.
To a level that they can communicate.
Okay.
And they move on. To the next level. That is how it goes.
Wow. Disability and disability. Mr. Titus, you know, people say seeing is believing. I want to say something that you want to you will demonstrate in sign language.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
Okay. Viewers at home, if you have any child that has hearing impairment, please don't leave the person at home. Take the child to school, because that child may be the breadwinner of the family tomorrow. That is why this program is always on air, to educate you on what to do. There is ability in that child that you are trying to abandon. Look inward. Know that there is something God has imparted into him that's going to make him great tomorrow. God did not give you that child to balance the ecosystem. There's ability in that child. And allow that child to go to school so that tomorrow he can contribute to the development of the society. Please help us to disseminate this information to anyone and you know that has this problem. This is ability in disability. Okay, Mr. Joke. Wow.
I've just finished sending.
Very. You know, it's glorious now. You know, it's something that people like imagine. How they doing it? This is ability and disability. What is your own opinion concerning the kind of the kind of education? You know they have inclusive, exclusive, and all that. What's the opinion? What's the best education for these people?
For me, and for the one I know,
Yeah.
the best education for these children is inclusive education.
Can you explain what is inclusive education?
Inclusive education is a situation whereby every child is taught in a given environment according to his or her ability. You make the arrangement that will suit the ability of that child, so that child will benefit. Of course, some have the same form of ability. There are some that can be grouped together, but your focus is on the particular child. One child, one program. One child, one program. That is very important, and that is why I talked about IEP.
Okay, what is one child, one program?
One child, one program meaning that you have a plan that suits the child.
Okay.
Another child may benefit from that program, but you are looking at the child's particular ability, because everybody has his own ability. So it is important that you focus on that child.
All right. Wow. Your last words, those watching us right now.
The only thing I would tell you is try to bring your children to school. It is very, very important. No child is a waste. Every child needs to be educated so that he or she can try to make his or her contribution in the society. That's all I will tell you.
Wow. Thank you for enlightening us today, Mr. Duke. This is Ability in Disability. I remain your producer and presenter. Remember this.
Thank you.